Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I needed to restart my computer. So, thanks for hanging out and waiting for me. I'm Katrina. This is Sow and Tare live chat. We do this every Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And tonight we are talking infrastructure, but let's say hello to everybody. And I have a couple little stories, and then we'll get into the topic, maybe half hour or so. And hopefully it works. So I had to restart my computer. The camera wasn't working, so it's working now. So yay. That is what I like to see, is it actually working. Thank you, Verna, for letting people know what was going on. um, yeah, my mom just texted me, it's 6:05 live chat day. Thank you. I know. All right, let's zoom up here. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, and we'll go from there. All right. Andy's here. Welcome, Andy Rabbit. Hello. Most likely won't be able to be on tonight. If I can, it will be later. All right. Welcome, welcome. She was here very early. Well, actually, not that early. Early. And Verna says, "Hey, Katrina, loved your weekend review. Nice. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah. Um, Part of the little kitty. So here's one thing I'll say, since we're talking about the weekend review. You guys saw I mentioned some stuff about the little baby kitty. I have a name for it if it's a boy, and we'll find that out once I'm able to take it to the vet. Right? It has nothing showing on the outside. However, it's been hanging out with Ringo, and the other one's been hanging out with Mama Kitty. So I think that's what's going on. Anyway, uh, yeah. So ever since I gave it a dead bunny rabbit, there's a when Penne gave birth, there were two that didn't make it. They were stillborn, and so I gave one of them to that little kitty in the food dish, and I saw me put it in and all that, and ever since then, it's like, I think I want to be your friend. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this. And it's just been kind of funny because, as you guys saw, if you watched the video from today, it was like rubbing up against like anything and like show me the belly briefly, and then like, oh, but no, I'm not ready for that, and doing it again. Oh, okay. And started purring when he was doing that. So super cute. Well, today, in the middle of the day, I went up to make sure the baby bunnies had enough food because they're starting to eat a lot. And on the way back, of course, the cat went with me. And on the way back, kept on doing that flop over thing, like just a few feet in front of me. So I had to take it slow on the way down the hill to the house. And then after that, it was like right in front of me. I was like, I want to see what happens if I stand still for a little bit. So I just stood there for about 5 minutes, took a little break, and it was doing the flop over and purring, and another flop over here and flop over purring, and they went behind me and then it went in front, and so I was just standing there, letting it get used to me being there, and it rubbed on my boot. It rubbed and flopped on my boot, and so that was awesome. And I actually got that on my phone the second time, and so it has chosen to touch me. I think it's a he. I'm going to call him a he. He has chosen to touch me, which is a really, really big step, considering that at least up till yesterday, it was not okay with me touching him. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. But I think I'm actually developing a relationship with this cat. I thought I was past that point because it didn't even know me until 2 months of age. So Mama Kitty kept them hidden pretty well up until that point. So yay. So yeah, that is pretty cute. All right, PJ's here. Good evening, PJ. And we're all set for next Sunday. We are making lasagna with Katrina's Kits, Cook With Me Live. And I will put up a link here. Open it up. Where is it? There it is. So you can join the channel and cook with us. There should be a join button below. It's also a link in the description. And if you are on here right now, I am putting it in the link in the chat. So you can check that out. We're going to be making lasagna and the noodles as well. Unless you don't want to, then you can buy the noodles. It's up to you. All right. Good evening, PJ. I hope you're doing well. I know everybody's been in snow where you guys are. It's not snowy here. We finally have a break in the weather. It has been colder. Like today, it got up to 44. Yesterday, it got up to 38. So it's been at or near freezing, plus or minus freezing the past several nights. So yeah, that is what's going on here weather-wise, but we're not getting that super, super cold or snow. So I'm okay with that here. So I hope everybody's doing well with that. All right. Homestead Matters is here. Welcome, welcome. Good evening, folks. Hope everyone is doing well. And I'm hoping you're enjoying the sunshine like I kind of did today. I was mostly inside because I work. Oh boy. I did go out in the middle of the day to feed the bunnies and then at the end of the day. But yeah. Ta-da! Steve says, are you ta-daing because you came at 6 on the dot? Congratulations. And the day I had to restart my computer. Welcome, Steve. Welcome. All right. And Buster's here. Hey to all. Welcome, Buster. Yeah, I was late. Sorry, Steve. Yep, I was restarting my computer. Verna says sometimes when you work all day in the computer, it can mess up. That is true. I have a work computer, though, that's provided to me by work, and this is my personal computer. So, yeah. All right. Last time you turned off your computer, it was 1992, Steve. Sometimes I feel like that, right? Of course, I didn't have a computer in 1992. Well, I don't remember when we first got one. That might have been when we got our first computer. I remember we got our first computer and the monitor smoked. It just started smoking. And so we took it back to the place and they gave us a loaner monitor. And that's the one we had for the rest of the time. They never gave us back our other one. Yeah. Yep. All right. Erica's here. Erica said hello. Welcome, Erica. Are you ready for the Cook With Me Live? I think it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Joy is here. Hello, all from Western Oregon. Welcome, welcome. Little respite from the faucet we call the sky. Yeah. Verna says, every time you go to cook meat, save off a bite of meat and don't cook it. Save it for your little buddy. So I actually have the bone and little bits of meat that was in the pressure cooker for the bone broth that I did and the chili that I did. The chili video will come out. I don't know when it'll come out. And so that is actually pressure cooked, so it's squishy, so they're able to eat it to get extra calcium. But it also has, the meat scraps that were in there too. But yeah, yep, that helps them. That helps them. But I have that for them. All right, this Sunday, going to make seafood lasagna. PJ, that sounds disgusting, but you are in your kitchen and I am in my kitchen. I choose Italian sausage. The recipe says hamburger. You can do seafood. I don't like seafood. That's why I said that. I'm sure if you like seafood, PJs would be the best. All right. Well, we will experiment with different things. That's another thing that is kind of fun with the Cook With Me Live is we can alter the recipes and we can alter them in different ways. For example, PJ often cooks with goat milk or goat milk cheese. And I use cow because that's what I get it stored reliably. And we've done different ingredients and different things, and we can experiment that way and share in the joy. So it's fun. It's fun. All right. Homestead Matter says, ooh, what cheese combo do you use in your lasagna? Mozzarella, Parmesan, and ricotta. There we go. There we go. You can use a whole lot more if you want. For my recipe, I usually have more ingredients, and I use the recipe as a guide, and then I have a really good recipe. And then I always add more cheese. Come on, you got to add more cheese. I usually add more meat into it as well. So, yeah. Joy says I'm officially old today. Turned 65 now on Medicare. Oh my God, is today your birthday? Is today your birthday, Joy? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Congratulations on the 65 number. And Buster says, Katrina, it is nice watching you enjoy your new property. Yay! I'm glad you guys enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy it, Buster. I definitely am enjoying it. I have not been wandering around as much with all this rain, but it's really, really, it's nice to have the space, and it's nice to be able to go different directions, like I hadn't been really in the pasture side of things in a few weeks. But I did, once I saw the bulbs start popping up, I was like, ooh, is the garlic good? And I went over there, I looked first, and I'm like, oh, I see green. And I am so happy that the garlic actually grew and didn't rot, because I got like 5 or 6 different varieties, and took all that time to plant them. And yeah, so it was good to see that. So, and then I can go up the hill the other day, or going over there, I can go different directions, which is pretty cool. All right. Everybody saying happy birthday to Joy. Yes. PJ says for cheeses, I'm going to use Munster. Ooh, mozzarella, Parmesan, and ricotta. Munster's pretty good. I like that. Yeah. Homestead Matter says it was clumsy and drizzly here all day. Why was it? In what way was you were clumsy, or your weather was clumsy? I would like to know what clumsy weather is, and that there should be a book on that. But I'm happy it wasn't downpours for poop tray cleaning this afternoon. Yep, exactly. Yeah. We've been getting a lot of fog. Yesterday was super foggy till like 10:30. And then it did end up clearing up. And we actually had blue sky, so that was good. Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah, I've never thought to use Munster either, Homestead Matters. Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Hey, my mom's here. I had to restart my computer. That's why I wasn't on time. She says, in 1972, computers were the size of a small building. Yep. I think Steve knows that. He knows his computers. Welcome. And hope you're doing good. Oh, Verna saying, Mary, remember the memory of 64K was the size of an upright freezer. We've gotten different, huh? I mean, you can get a terabyte on a flash drive now. That's amazing. Yeah. Who remembers the save button, like on Word? Who remembers the save button, why it is that shape? I bet there's people, I don't know about anybody on here talking, but I bet there's people watching maybe later, or people watching that are spying and not communicating. You guys remember why the little save button is that shape? I do. All right. Erica says, I'm going to have to make the noodles. Can't find any gluten-free lasagna noodles around here. Erica, what kind of flour are you going to use for that? So Erica is a gluten-free, and so she can use some different flours. I know Icorn is something you use sometimes, but let us know what kind of flour you're using. I'm just going to use plain flour. I do have other flours, but I'm just going to use the plain one. All right. Homestead says, you have to say it Italian American style, regatta. Regatta? Is that how you say it? I don't know. Cottage cheese works as well, but it's not as good. All right. Cloudy. Autocorrect and on a tablet is rough. You know what? I mean, I'd rather your weather. I would like to know what clumsy weather is because that was like, was it just like doing all of it? Was it not deciding what it was doing? Yeah. Oh, early morning ice at Erica's. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had that here. And like it got down to at least 31 at the weather station, but that's higher up. I didn't have to break ice for the rabbits at all. The chickens have their water plugged into a thermocube, so as long as we don't lose power, they'll always have good water. Heat lamp in the well house is also plugged into a thermocube, so there we go. Yeah. Steve knows. You're the only one that knows. Nobody else responded. It's the floppy disk. It's the sign of the floppy disk. All right. You'll be using Icorn flour. Okay. That's what I figured, but I figured you might have some other ones. Yeah. Real quick, since we have Erica on here, what are some flours that you use that are gluten-free? So if people are watching this later, they can figure that out for themselves and adjust recipes for, because I know you've used several different kinds of flours. Let us know, Erica. All right. So I told you guys already about the kitty and how cute he is. I think it's a he. What I want you guys to know. I didn't bring my drive in here. Okay, I have to cue this up. Sorry, I had to restart and everything's not queued up. So my videos. Ravioli, I gave her nest box this morning, and she she started eating, jumped right in, and when she jumped right in, she made out her little nest box. She started getting all the stuff out, and then finally she decided that she was going to make her nest in there. So she hasn't pulled fur or anything yet, but she definitely she's ready for it. She's ready for it. All right, I am going through the video from today. I'm just going to play a little bit of it. Rigatoni and risotto got rebred, which is good. And risotto, I tested her this morning, and she did not want to have anything to do with him. It was so funny because she was so eager the first time, and then once they know they're pregnant, they don't care anymore. They're just like, nope, I'm done with you. a screen. Actually, let me make it big. Oh, hold on. Trying to do too many things. So let me make this big and then go back to you guys. All right, we're going to answer Erica's thing that I asked her. Biggest problem is the roads from snow melt. Oh, okay, so it melts and then freezes again. Yeah. Homestead Matter says, I feel old that I've used on Apple II with the upgraded 2 floppy drive slots. Watch out. In college, I came back for another year and I had just got some floppy disks. They still have floppy disks, but they were the harder ones. And I got a whole new pack just for school. And then I got to school and there were no slots in any of the computers. And yeah, that's when we changed to, I think we changed to thumb drives then. Yeah. So it was interesting. All right. Erica says coconut flour, almond flour, chickpea flour. That sounds good. Are the most common. And Verna's asking, have you tried amaranth? And she says, I like amaranth, just more expensive. Okay. Chickpea flour is interesting because you can make that yourself. I mean, you can make all of them yourself, but chickpeas, I think, maybe wouldn't be too hard to do. I'm guessing you would probably cook them first. Cook them, then dry them. I don't know. That would be interesting. That'd be interesting. Yeah, Verna says you can get the seeds on Amazon and grind them yourself. You could do that. You could do that. Yes, Steve. They were still floppy in that plastic case. Yeah, I guess. But I remember the big ones that were like floppy, and they went in a paper envelope. Yeah. Brenna says I used the Cocoa 2 from Tandy. I don't know any of this, Verna. And it was cassette driven. That is before my time. Wow. Cassette driven. Goodness. Okay, so Erica says, yes, I cook them first. Okay. Yeah, the 5.5 floppies. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're getting off track with the floppies and the computers. So what I wanted to show you guys, and I want to see what you guys think. I'm going to show you, share screen. I think it's this one. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen here, and turn up the volume so you maybe hear it. I don't know how that works on your side of things.
We'll cover them up. Good job, Mama. Ravioli's nest box is going in tomorrow, which means she's due Thursday. And look how wide she is. How many kits do you guys think she's going to have? Put it in the comments. I want to see how many kits you guys think she's going to have. Remember, Rigatoni had 9. They're all eating right now. But she's pretty big, and she's loving the loves. You always love loves, though, huh?
All right, so put down in the comments what you think. How many you think she might have? She's a pretty big rabbit right now. She's a little poochy. Yeah, let me know what you think, because she is definitely pregnant. Remember we talked about in some of the rabbits you can't tell that they're pregnant. Penne and Risotto, well, Risotto wasn't pregnant, but they looked the same. So Risotto wasn't pregnant, and Penne had 7, but 5 alive. And you couldn't even tell. I mean, she didn't have much of a pooch. She didn't have, she did not look all that different. I do spend less time with her because she doesn't enjoy petting and she doesn't do that. But she's a little smaller rabbit. Both of them are smaller than the white ones. And that's just because they were chosen by circumstances. Their mom died and I needed to save back some. And someone or and the white ones were chosen on purpose. So they were the biggest and the nicest of the litters. So yeah. Let me know what you think. Oh, Vern says Radio Shack color computer too. Okay. PJ says 11. Oh my gosh. Verna says 11. Steve says, how many did she have last time? How many did she have last time? I don't remember. Maybe 8 or 9. I don't think she's ever had 11 because 11 was the maximum that Rigatoni had. That was her last litter before this one was 11. And Meatball, who is passed now, I know she had at least 10. I think she might have had 11 or 12 at one point. I think she did have 12. Because I think she had 12. I think she had 14 and 2 of them didn't make it. I mean, they were born that way. I think she might have had 12. But yeah, that's a big number for a bunny. So yeah. But Ravioli typically has like between 7 and 9, I think. They're pretty good producers. So we only have 2 guesses and they're the same. Yeah, I think she has a lot in her. I really do. She's not quite as big as the biggest I saw, Meatball, but she's also not done yet. So yeah, so day 30 is on Thursday. Yeah. She may surprise you this time. Maybe. Buster's playing, was it Wheel of Fortune? No, not Wheel of Fortune. Price is Right. Buster's playing Price is Right. Price is Right. $10. No. 10 bunnies. Erica says 8 just to be different. Closest without going over, I'll go 7. There you go. Okay. I think she probably has. I think it's probably 10 or 11. I think it's probably 10 or 11. I don't think I've seen her this big before. Yeah. And she has not been eating. So if you guys remember back to these videos of kind of how you know your bunny's expecting, in the latter couple days, they don't eat a whole lot. And she's actually been doing that for several days. So I think she's probably really uncomfortable, unfortunately. But I think she's probably, yeah, just kind of like, okay, we're going to get through this. Yeah. I'm going to guess 10 or 11. So, yeah. Yep, those are my 2 big news items. I wanted to kind of talk about that on here in case people missed the week in review, because that was from the week in review. And then also the kitties were fun. Verna says offer some raw oatmeal. I gave the rabbits oats some. I haven't really done that a whole lot. What do we win if we get it right? Erica says, you get to win points. But the points don't matter. You guys know what game that is? You win a bunny, but you have to go to Oregon and pick it up? Maybe. Hey, why not? How funny. Yeah, we're not mailing bunnies. All right. So I wanted to talk today about infrastructure and what our goals are for infrastructure this year. So let me know. I'm gonna kind of go through what I'm doing, and let me know what infrastructure stuff you guys are looking at doing, because we can brainstorm together about good options. Yes, whose line is it anyway? Steve got it. Good. That was such a good show. We can, talk about, what are we doing? What are we looking at? 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 What are we looking you know, brainstorm about different options of how to do things for your projects as well as mine. But that's what I want to talk about. So one of my main goals will be I have to put basically a roof over where the hutches are. I want to have that extended out for rain purposes. So I want to do that. I want to do a water system in with the rabbits and chickens. The chickens can have a part in that too. And so I'll be making a automatic waterer again. And I should probably bring that up so I can, let's see. Automatic water. Okay, so here is the link for that. Waterer. So I'll be doing another video when I do it, but if you want a very in-depth video, check out that video. If you already know some of it, feel free to skip through the different parts. The very end is talking about quail and quail waterers, how you set that up, and then also rabbits. So that was for that. And yeah, so water, I'm going to be setting that up with a float valve. I don't yet know how I can actually set it up. I don't think I can realistically attach it to a faucet at this time. That might be something in the future. I think right now it's going to be a container that I probably hand fill or maybe fill with my new pump somehow. So that's going to be something that's going to be in the future. The whole automatic, forever automatic kind of stuff. It does not work in the winter. So I am trying to think of ways that it can work in the winter, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. It doesn't get too terribly cold here. It's supposed to get down to like 20, maybe 15 as the coldest. So far, since I've been here, the coldest has been 23. And I had to break ice, but like the whole thing, I'm talking about rabbit waters, and that whole thing wasn't frozen. It was just the top, maybe that much on the top of the waterers. So I'm trying to think of ways to do that. If I should use heat tape or if I should, there's different ways of doing that. Another thing I'm thinking about is, so I've said this before, and you guys have been saying or have been privy to this, but Ravioli, the bunny rabbit, she's a little jealous rabbit. She is a needy rabbit. And, I always have to pet her first and pet her last. And when I go out there, it's just how it goes. But if she is not getting her way, or if she wants something that I have not given her, or if she wants attention and she's not getting it, she used to, when she had a water cup. So right now they have bowls, but when they had the water, the rabbit water, which is a drinker, not a water nipple. She would turn it up like sideways so it would just drip. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Well, she was doing it so that I would open it and fix it. And, of course, I'm going to spend time with her then because, I probably trained her wrong. But I am considering, when I do that system, to just automatically put a water nipple there for her instead. And I really don't want to do that. So I want to know your guys' opinion on that. And then, yeah, so that's that. I will be doing fencing for the food forest areas. I have to call the county because I think you do need a permit for fencing, but I don't know what the rules are. So I do have to call them for that. And then at some point, hopefully this year, I'll be putting up a high tunnel. And so there's some things that go into that, and I am nowhere near that right now. So, all right. Now that you know my stuff, let me know your stuff and what your thoughts are on my stuff. And we'll go from there. Oh, and then I have to kind of redo the chicken run, which is where the rabbits are as well, and make that a little more secure. As you guys see, the cats get in and out. But I also want to put I'm going to put cable between trees and then put aviary netting over the top, because I know there are hawks nearby that have gotten chickens in the area. So that is my plan. I don't know if I covered everything, but we'll pretend I did. And then you guys can tell me I didn't. All right. PJ says, I listened to the weekend review on the way home from work. That's good. You did not get to see the cuteness, though. All right. Steve says, speaking of infrastructure, how's the foundation leveling coming along? It's coming along. They're getting to a point that they're kind of almost done and still having a little bit of a struggle in one area, but it's going to be good once it's done. And they're taking the time to do things the correct way, which is what you want. So, and if anybody has this done with their house, expect cracks. That's something that probably a lot of people don't expect. You have to expect cracks because things are moving, and anything's fixable. That's the other thing you have to know, is anything's fixable. There was a piece of plumbing that popped, and they had to run to the store and get parts to fix it, and they did, and it's fine. But you have to understand that, well, one, this is an old house, so the plumbing needs to be redone, and I have a plan for that. But the old parts of the house, like old plumbing, when they're moving things, the guys took out the old parts, and it literally just snapped. There's a threaded piece and it just snapped. So that was galvanized. Inspector said everything was copper. Inspector did not go under the house. Sorry about that. Anyway, so that stuff, and as long as they fix what, if there's something that breaks, as long as they fix it, we're good. But they are taking the time to work this one problem section, that the house is just not behaving like other houses, and they're taking the time to do it and all that. So it's not going quite as smoothly as they would have liked, but it is going well, I would say. So yeah, and they're not touching the foundation, so it's above the foundation. Yeah. Steve says rainwater catchment would fill the bucket. Yes, rainwater catchment fills a bucket, but then it has to be pumped back up to the animals. Maybe not for the chickens. I mean, the chickens can have, gravity from there, but to get it back up to the animals, it would, unless I elevated, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Rainwater capture is a kind of in the plan for part of that. It's just it wouldn't last forever, because they don't get. There is some rain in the summer here, but I don't think it's a whole lot. I think it's just every once in a while. But somebody who lives more locally, like Homestead Matters and Adam, who I just saw come in, can tell me otherwise. You guys are on either side of me, about the same. Maybe one a little bit further. But as far as I know, summer is not reliably rainy. How about that? Good questions. Adam says, hello, everyone. I'm late, but here. That's okay. I was late, too. I had to restart my computer. Welcome, welcome. PJ says, I'll rewatch tomorrow. Night-night. Good night, PJ. We will see you later. We'll see you Sunday. All right. Everybody saying good night and hello. Steve says, I would do the nipple for her. She'll find other ways to let you know she's mad. Oh, yeah. No, she does. So she didn't have this at the old property, but now I gave them all a second resting mat. I felt like it was a good thing to do. And there's these plastic ones that, the poop is supposed to fall through, but of course they're not built for meat rabbits. They're built for pet rabbits. So some of it falls through. Most of it gets kicked off. But that is something that it's something that she is able to move around. So maybe some of that energy can go towards that. It's something that that's big, that she can move around. Doing that with a stick doesn't seem to, be enough. It needs to be some big action of hers. And it's hilarious watching her do it. Sometimes Percy does it too, but it's really kind of funny to see just how much they can move around their furniture. I call it furniture. They move things all over. I call it redecorating, and she does it when I like, if she's really needy feeling, and I pet her and I pet the other ones, and I go around and I go up to the ones up top, and she could hear me but not see me because there's a tarp there right now. Yeah, there we go. There we go. um, all right. Erica says, I'm almost done on a new barn and pens. Awesome. Awesome. So your goats will be good. And what else are you putting in there? Is it goats and I don't remember what else you have. Yeah. And by the way, I don't recommend stepping on nails. It hurts. Yeah. I hope you're up to date on your tetanus. Yeah, that does not sound good. Hopefully you did not step on it very hard. Yeah. Yeah, so Steve, that's my plan is put a cover over the rabbits. That's your catchment. Yeah, that's the catchment. It's just getting it back up, or if I would have to have like a long, narrow something to hold it up high. So I think I need a pump to go in there. I could do a battery pump too. But then still, how do you do that and make it not freeze? Yeah. All right. Like putting one on top of the other? Putting one what on top of the other? Oh, yeah. So right now there's three hutches. Percy the buck has one, and then both sisters, well, they're all sisters. They're all from full blood sisters, but they're from different litters. And so the uphill one is one and the lower one is one. And they have their little roofs. They're just excuse me. They're just not as good as they should be. I'll probably leave those on. I don't know that's worth it to take them off and build the structure over them. Um, I may take them off. I don't know. But having that could give them a little bit extra. I don't know if we give them extra protection or not, but probably not. I mean, it's wider all the way around. But yeah. Erica has chickens. I think I had another bigger animal. Or were you talking about getting a donkey? Am I spreading rumors? Yeah. Verna says putting one tile. Oh, putting one tile. Yeah. So she has the tile, which the tiles appear to stay in one place, but they do move them. So they do move them a little bit. They're just in their preferred location, and you'll notice they're in different places for different ladies. And that's because they prefer it that way. And then the other ones I just put through, I put in a place, and then they moved them where they want to be. Risotto prefers to have both tiles in the corner, and she doesn't use them. Like she piled the plastic one on top of the tile, and I've never seen her sit on it. So she prefers, I don't know, a free flowing belly. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen her lay on hers. But that's her preference. I have it in there so that she can get off the wire if she wants, and she prefers not to. Penne really likes her plastic tile, and sometimes she likes her other tile, but she much prefers the corner she has put her plastic tile in. And that makes a little bit of sense because she has half a back foot, birth defect, and so she is more likely to be like, oh wow, this feels good on my foot. but she's never been exclusively on a tile. But she does use hers more. Percy goes back and forth. Sometimes he spends a lot of time on his, and sometimes he doesn't. I don't know. Ravioli usually doesn't spend a whole lot of time on hers, and Rigatoni spends more time on her real tile and has put the other one in her pee bathroom. She has separated her pee bathroom from her poop bathroom. I don't know. I don't know. But she has it over there, and so that's, it is what it is. I let them choose these things. If they start getting nasty, I wash them off and go from there. So, yeah. Sue says, nurse told me the tetanus should be every 10 years, not 50 years like I did. Yeah. Yeah. And now there's 3 things in that shot. There's tetanus pertussis, which I think is whooping cough, which is coming back. And what's the other one? There's 3 things in that now. I did react to that. The first time there was 3 things in it, I did react to it. I have since not reacted to it. So I don't know what happened, but when I had it, my heart rate went way, way down. The nurse had me talking about things that got me angry. And kind of wasn't telling me, oh yeah, your heart rate really, really dropped much more than it's supposed to. But that's the only reaction I've had to that, and haven't had it. I've had that shot since, and it hasn't affected me the same way. So it's interesting. Adam is reporting on the weather in my local-ish region. Mid-June through October. Mid-June through mid-October, most years has no rain except occasional thunderstorms. Yeah, thunderstorms is where I was thinking the summer rain would come in. Yeah. Yep. And this is, I'm new to this area, so all I know so far is this year. I did at one point look up things, look up the weather patterns, and I just decided, you know what? They're so different now than they're probably so different now than they used to be. I'm just going to go with it. All right. Okay, that's where I got it from. Erica says, I want a donkey, but that's a while down the road. Diphtheria. Yep, that's the third one. That's the third one. Okay. Yeah, so my plan for fencing for the food forest, I would like to be at fencing for elk, which I believe is 7 feet tall, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed 7 feet. I think I might only be allowed 6 feet, but I need to call and ask about that kind of thing. There's not a whole heck of a lot of elk that come through. There's deer, there's some elk. There was 5 that were hanging out in the pasture. I don't know how much time they spend up in the woods. They do spend time in the woods. I just don't know. Elk is something that is new to me I'm a wildlife biologist, but I've not been in an area that had lots of elk in it. Where I came from, there were truly elk in the hills of one side of the highway, but there weren't very many. And so we didn't see them very often, except for in very well-known locations. So yeah. Verna, no, I haven't followed up. My water rights might be expired. And I have not followed up. I was going to wait until after the first year, and then I got super busy. So I do need to follow up on that. There's a way to reinstate them. I know that. And I just need to figure out what's going on. So I have not done that yet. Yeah. All right. Oh, another thing I'm doing is I'm going to be expanding the garden. And I actually have video, but I forgot to download off my phone before the weekend review. It's okay. You guys will see it this next week. There was a gopher that popped up. I mean, I saw the evidence. I didn't see the gopher, but he sees little gopher mounds. So at least one of them escaped the flooding. And right by the apple tree. And so I saw that, and then like a couple days later, I see this track of like gopher mound, gopher mound, gopher mound. And you can see where it's gone. I'm sure it's just one. Um, but it definitely had a direction it was going. So I get to figure out what to do with my garden, how to protect that. And I do not remember how deep they dig. I don't even know if it's worth it to do like wired down so far, or if I just put it on the bottom all the way across. But I've not had to deal with gophers yet. So any gopher recommendations as far as fencing out gophers out of my garden, let me know. I actually was thinking about gophers and all these little rodents the other day when I was looking at the area where I want to do the food forest, one food forest, and I was like, I wonder if I could have a cat live in the food forest and just take care of things in there for me. One that just is a really good hunter, and if I have ducks or geese in there, which is kind of what I want to do a little bit of, um, that maybe they're okay with birds. I don't know. We gotta find the perfect cat. Maybe I'll raise a perfect cat. We'll see. Um, I was like, I wonder if that could be a thing. Maybe have one or two cats in there. I don't know. Tell me I'm crazy. Adam says gophers are evil. Okay, Steve says gophers go about usually 2 to 12, 6 to 12. Can't read. 6 to 12 inches below the ground. See, 12 inches down, I can deal with that. I can dig a trench all the way down, put hardware cloth or something like that down there, and then do that. 4 inches in drier climates. What about wetter climates? Because that's what I was thinking about doing, is doing a trench all the way around the outside, and like basically how I did my aviary. Yeah. Verna says gophers dig tunnels that can be up to 18 inches below ground, with the main tunnel usually being between 4 and 18 inches deep. Some parts of the main tunnel can be as deep as 5 or 6 feet. I'm not digging that deep, Verna. But yeah, like 1.5 foot, that would be acceptable. It's a little bit rocky, but I think it would be best to do that. Yeah. Food storage can be 5 to 6 feet deep. My goodness. I didn't really grow up with gophers. I just recently, like 10 years ago, saw gopher mounds at my parents in the high desert. And so there are some, but I didn't really grow up with them. I didn't deal with them at all in California because I was urban. In fact, the one time I did deal, well, okay, 2 times. Rats. Rats, will ruin your garden. Raccoons, big rats, will ruin your garden. But then we did have a ground squirrel move into my neighbor's yard. Don't know how it got there. Nobody knows. We're a mile away from any natural habitat, and dropped by a hawk, maybe? I don't know. I was able to trap it and return it to hopefully where it came from. But yeah, it wouldn't leave her garden alone, which is ridiculous because it's closer. Come over the fence, go to my garden, and eat whatever it wanted. It would actually grab it and go up on the top of the fence and chow down on the top of the fence, and then go back home. It was ridiculous. I was able to live trap it though in their yard, and yeah, that was the last time I tried to grow cantaloupe. Cantaloupe, ooh, if you grow it in your garden yourself, it is so good. So good. It ruins store-bought cantaloupe. Yeah, so here's a gardening tip. We're a little early for this tip, but that's okay. Gardening tip is, if you have something you want to protect from rats, like a melon, like a squash, like whatever, if you take nylon, like a knee high, like for ladies, you can put that on your fruit and rats will not touch it. I've experimented with this and it works for rats. However, it does not work for ground squirrels. Ground squirrels will chew right through that, eat the entire inside of your cantaloupe, and leave it without a trace. So when you go and try and pick it up, it goes, there's nothing inside, and it's so heartbreaking. Yeah. Verna says rats can nest in between the roots of a tree. They can nest in lots of different places, and they can nest in trees. They can have stick nests in trees that they make stick nests on the ground. They can have underground nests. They are successful. Let's just say that they are successful. So, I know there's wood rats here, but I don't think there's very many. I've only seen so far on my property. There might be one smaller nest, but I don't think it's active. But there's one very large nest that I showed you guys in one of the videos. It's like taller than me. So we'll leave that alone. Hopefully it'll be okay. Hopefully there's enough space for us and the wood rats. They're native here. I don't know what kind. There's two different kinds. It could be a dusky-footed or a bushy-tailed. I haven't seen it, so yeah. Anyway, there we go. No, I'm sorry, Steve. Wonder if the back of Katrina's jacket says "Be kind, rewind." I've been wearing this quite a bit. I got it a while ago. Well, not a while, like a few years ago. Blockbuster, you guys remember? I mean, we're talking floppy disk. We're talking Blockbuster. There is a Blockbuster still open. It's a movie rental place in Bend, Oregon, and I got the sweatshirt there, and it's actually a really good sweatshirt. It's like, it's not quite as thick as what sweatshirts were when I grew up, but it's a thicker sweatshirt. It says nothing on the back. Homestead says, have a fabulous week, everyone. Toddler fun afoot. Toodles. Have a good week. So who else is building something or wants to build something that we can brainstorm on? Because I will be putting in some sort of gopher stopper attempt. Yeah. And I have not bought fencing material because I need to know what to buy first. That will depend on what's allowed. Yeah. So nobody's building anything? I'm also hoping to really change the I have a little shed by the house. Hopefully change that into a seed starting area and a quail, well, not just quail, but a hatching area, brooding, hatching, that kind of thing. And so that way it would be out of the house. I do need to figure out what kind of heater to get though, to go out there. The building plugs into an extension cord, but I do need to figure out that because I know some heaters have an exhaust that can kill plants, and I'm not sure, might not be good for birds. So that's something, if you guys are knowledgeable about that, I would appreciate some advice on, because it will have to have a heater. I use brooding plates, the heat plates for birds, and it has to be at least 55 degrees in there. Excuse me. And for the seeds, depending on the time of year that I'm planting for, I might want it to be warmer than that. But little kind of space heater or something. I don't know what's appropriate for that space. So as kind of like a regular heating source. So that is something I haven't researched. I'm not even going to say I'm researching. I haven't researched it. It's something I need to research so I can do it. But yeah, there you go. Verna's too busy crocheting. There you go. What are you crocheting? Yeah. Well, that's infrastructure, right? You're like jacket infrastructure, scarf infrastructure. It's not really infrastructure. Yeah. So, nobody else is building anything? This is our big topic. um, One thing I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet is if I'm going to be using like fence posts or a different kind of metal thing. Probably not wood. I think it's going to be too large an area to use wood and have it potentially rot and then, you know, go back. Also, I want to do a fence for the front yard over to where the side yard is already fenced. So when I get a dog, it will have more room and have a little bit more presence in the front. So, yeah. Rena says, I have about 3 shrugs I'm working on. Shrugs? Is that like a shawl? I don't know what a shrug is. Erica says radiator style heater doesn't put out exhaust of any kind and not hot wire coils. Hey, my dad's here. Welcome. Space heaters can be dangerous. Maybe an oil-filled heater would work. I don't know what an oil-filled heater is. Is that the same as a radiator style heater? I'm hoping it's something that just gets like, plugged in and be able to use. But radiator heater. Okay, well, the same thing popped up for both of those things. So do you have to like refill oil? This is where my ignorance is showing. So those don't have a exhaust. All right, we'll have to go down that pathway. If anybody wants to research that for me, go ahead. Oh, awesome, Brenna. Show me a picture. Shrugs have sleeves. Okay. And no refilling of oil needed. Thank you, Erica. So both of you guys came up with the same answer with different words. So I maybe I'll look at that. It's a smaller building. I don't remember if it's insulated or not, but I can definitely add insulation. The window is single pane. The windows. There's one window and one door with a window. Yeah, that's the both of them are single pane right now. But I think that can be fixed. And I think if I have grow lights in there, I don't really want a window in that area that the grow lights are in. So I might get like a grow. I don't know. They make those things. They always look like suspicious because people are grow things they shouldn't in there. But that might be a good thing to do in that same space if I'm using it for that. But then I'm not sure how it gets the heat. Anyway, yeah, help me with that. Verna says, shrug is a blanket sewn so that you have 2 armholes. So is a shrug the predecessor to a snuggie? Okay. I remember we had, maybe my parents are on here. Do you guys remember the sleeping bag thing that it like zipped up and then up here it buttoned and you could button it so you had sleeves? It was brown. I don't know what that was called. Was that called something different? Oh, Erica says you use one of those heaters for the chicken coop. Okay. I don't heat the chicken coop, but I also don't get as cold as you guys. They do have some of their stuff closed up right now. But they still have airflow. Yeah. Maybe. I don't really want to put heat in mine because it doesn't get so cold that they need it where I am. And, if the power goes out, then I don't want them to suffer. Whereas in the case of plants or any baby birds, you have to have power or know that the power went out and give them, hot water bottles or something. So, yeah. And that's something I don't have here anymore is a gas stove to heat water on. So I do have a camp stove I do need to probably put that in a different place where it is than right now. But I could, boil water on a camp stove. Yeah. Okay, so Erica says my brooders are in the corner of the coop. There you go. There's your dual purpose. Yeah. 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 So that's my plan for that building. I think I'm just going to keep it the same with the plug-in. That's how it's set up right now, is to plug in with an extension cord. It might be a little ghetto, but it works, right? So I'll be doing that. Yeah. So those are my plans for infrastructure. I probably have more, but that's what I'm doing right now. Oh, and then the French drain. That's not really, is it French drain infrastructure? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's in the plan. Oh, and I heard from the guy who he's going to be doing that, but he's also he's the one that did the leach field, and he's going to try and come out later this week and at least drop off the tank and maybe put it in, depending on what else is happening. So I'm almost going to be hooked up to the leach field. We'll see. Yeah. There you go. That's what's going on here. I hope exciting, good things are going on there. Oh, you want me to check it out right now? I gotta get on there. Did you go on mine or on the Sow and Tare one? Okay. I'm looking briefly at oh, okay. So I wouldn't say it's a blanket with sleeves. I would say it's more like a like a sweater. It's like a sweater that doesn't close. Okay. Cool. You are very talented, Verna, to be doing all of those crocheting projects. Verna has crocheted so many things, and slippers included, which is impressive. Yeah. Well, what do you guys have going on? Nobody's building anything. I thought we were going to have lots of people building things. Erica, what do you have left to do on your barn? And are you liking how it turned out? Erica has been working on this whole farm, doing lots and lots of work and cleanup, which is awesome. Erica says, I love crocheting. I know or knew, probably still could figure it out, how to crochet one long thing. That is my extent of real life knowledge with that. Steve says, build in winter? Ask again when we are not freezing outside. Steve, planning happens in winter. Planning happens in winter. Rita says, with as hard a winter is hitting, people don't want to work outside. See, we're talking about planning. Oh, awesome. Locks on the door and a new pen. Okay, you are almost done. You are really, really close to being done. Awesome. What kind of locks are you using? Because locks, to me, locks are a big deal, because the type of lock you use, whether it's for people or for animals, is going to be important. And I have learned to always be able to unlock from the inside. I got stuck in the chicken coop, or in the chicken run, at my old place, because we went into it. It was petting the rabbits, playing with the chickens. Chickens went to bed, petting the rabbits, and turned around to go out and pull on the little tab. It was a gate latch, and it broke and couldn't get out. And I had to call my neighbor. Hey, are you home? Yeah. Oh, we got locked in the chicken coop. Can you come let us out? She's like, that's the best phone call I've ever gotten. She took pictures before letting us out. Yeah. Erica says it's warm this week. What is warm? What is warm to you right now? Um, Steve says I only plan in the aisle of Lowe's. Okay, okay. But do you plan enough? Because it usually requires a second or third trip, right? You got to measure things out before you go. Oh my gosh. Slide bolts. Okay. Cautionary tale with slide bolts. Animals can get into them. I know Jasmine had some issues with that for her quail. There was a hawk that was opening her slide bolts and getting her grow outs. But know that, adjust or don't, and use it as you may. And slide bolts also, some slide bolts, like the one that's currently on the chicken coop, which came with the house, has holes, so you can actually put a lock on it. And so what I've done is I put a carabiner on it because that's hard for most animals to open. So carabiner, if you get ones with that will make it a little bit tougher for them to open. But there you go, 50-ish. 50-ish, you're warmer than me. Rita says we had one day over 30, and that was yesterday. Yesterday was only got up to 38 here, but I think it started out at like 31. So, but we had tons of fog, really thick fog yesterday. Yeah, Steve says, "Oh no, I always have repeat trips. I do it right." It's funny. So you say I do it right. There's a so you know how there's like Ace and True Value and kind of those smaller but reasonably sized, I would call it a chain of hardware store. There's one in this area that's called Do It Best. And I'm like, who came up with that? Not like do it well, not do it, until it's done. Don't complete it. It's just do it best. And I was like, that's such a weird name. Anyway, they're nice people. The closest one to me, at least, is nice people. They have good stuff. Well, the one in town, I guess they do get it from there, but they have minimal stuff. But the one 20 minutes from here, they don't have everything, but they have stuff. Yeah. Erica says I have one that can be padlocked. Okay. Adam says the fog makes it feel so much colder. I think it made it that much colder. It really did. And yeah, moisture makes it cold. So like a lot of you guys have been watching me for a while. You're used to seeing me in tank tops all the time. And I can live in a tank top, right? But with all the moisture in the air, it gets colder. So I've been wearing, sweatshirts and vests and stuff. I'm wearing this now because the people who are here, because when they level things, the door has to be cracked open, otherwise it gets stuck shut. So I just turned off the heat, and so I just started it when I sat down for this. So yeah, I've been sweatshirted up all day. But yeah, you're right. The moisture definitely makes it colder. Steve says, we have a Do It Best. It must be a chain. I guess I did not hear about it at all until I came here. So I find it interesting that it's both here and there. I wonder if they're the same one. Yeah. Based out of Indiana. Interesting. Okay. Second largest co-op in the industry. Oh, it's a co-op. Okay. Okay. We're learning. Oh, Erica knew it was Indiana. Okay. And you remember when one opened in your hometown? Yeah, I'd never heard of it, and now there's like two right here. Well, one of them, I guess, just gets supplies from them. They're not like named that. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. I probably haven't found all the little tiny hardware stores in the region, but that's one that actually is a chain or is a co-op apparently. Yeah. Oh, Adam says I think Do It Best and Ace Hardware are one and the same. I wonder if they take Ace's coupons. I have some some old coupons. Okay, so we're conglomerating, huh? Well, if it's a co-op, then it wouldn't be Ace. I mean, is Ace a co-op? Is Ace is a co-op independently run? I don't know. All right. Erica says I grew up in northern Indiana. All right. So, Erica, were you in Indiana in what year was that? Probably weren't, but what was it? It was 2006 or 7 maybe, and there's that 5 point something earthquake on the Indiana border. 2006 or 7. 5. Yeah, it was 2006 or 2007, I think. Yeah, and there was an earthquake on that border, and I was in Macomb, Illinois at the time, which Steve knows, and uh, it was felt all the way over there. And yeah, anyway, just a question. Okay, co-op is member owned, and Ace isn't, right? Okay, so Ace and Do It Best are not the same company, Steve says. Yeah. Maybe Do It Best can supply Ace because I think that's what's going on in the one in town here because it used to be True Value and now it's not affiliated with anything, but it says Do It Best, but they're not Do It Best, but they get things through them sometimes. That's what I heard from the guy there. Um, Interesting. I don't know. Oh, both are member owned. Well, that's interesting. Oh, you remember the one in the 90s. Okay. Yeah, there was an earthquake. It's a 5 point something, and it was like people were like, "Oh my gosh, so you don't have earthquakes out here?" Oh, 80s. Yeah, people were like, "We don't have earthquakes out here. What's going on?" And there was a big concern, and then like in the news, it was all, "Well, we've had earthquakes here before. It's on a fault. There's a fault. It's just not all that active." It's like, oh, okay. Um, yeah. So there you go. There you go. I was joking with the guys here who are leveling the house today. So, well, if there's ever an earthquake here, this house will have training. It's creaking and stuff. Yeah. I don't think it works that way though. And hopefully there's not one here like that. So, yeah. San Andreas Fault? That's not where I am. That's in California. San Andreas, um, there's 3 faults that come together in the ocean outside of, I want to say Arcadia area, Northern California. And there's San Andreas goes north-south, and it's not just one fault, it's a bunch of different faults, but they call it San Andreas Fault, but it's more of a like a spider web of that. And then that goes out north south, and then it ends up going in the ocean, and then there's one that goes west from there, and then Cascadia picks up in that area, and that one goes up the Oregon Washington coast offshore, and that's I think that's Cascadia. Anyway, that's where the faults are. So there's no faults right here. I mean, they always talk about the Cascadia event, where if there was a big earthquake on the Cascadia Fault, then they say everything the internet, say everything west of I-5 would go like could slough and like be in the ocean or whatever. That would be a humongous event. I am west of I-5, but not by much. So hopefully I wouldn't be in that category. But hopefully it doesn't happen in our lifetime, right? Steve says our Ace and our Napa Automotive are the same store owner. 2 stores, but they took down the wall between them. Yeah. Our hardware store is also the liquor store, is also the U-Haul place. So there you go. Rena says, yeah, felt my first one. We're talking earthquakes in Toledo. I'm going to say that's Ohio because there is other Toledo. Scared you? I was in a basement apartment and it put a crack in that basement. Ooh, yeah. I grew up with earthquakes when I was little in California, and then Oregon we didn't really have them. And then when I went to California again, like for school, there's earthquakes. So, yeah. Erica says New Madrid, biggest earthquake in recorded American history was in the Midwest. Really? How big? Adam says, gotta run. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you for coming, Adam, and stay warm. Oh, the earthquake made the Mississippi River run backwards. How big was it? You guys are both saying the same thing. Steve says, my only earthquake was when I was visiting Los Angeles in the 80s. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because now you get the earthquake alerts on your phone, and it comes literally like 1 or 2 seconds before like you get the alert, and it's like 1 or 2 seconds before it hits. And that'll vary based on where you are from the epicenter, but there was a 4 point something, I think. It might have been 5, but I think it was a 4 point something when I was in Gilroy, and it was like 3 seconds, 2 or 3 seconds maybe, and then things started shaking. And that was an unusual one because usually where I was, we would get either from the southeast, it would just go boom, or from the southwest, it would roll. And so whether it was a bump or a roll, I knew where it had initiated. And then that one was a different one. I don't remember which direction that initiated from. It might have been, I think it was from further away. Yeah. Oh, 7.5 back in 1812. I don't think that's the biggest the United States has had. There's been some pretty big ones in Alaska and California too. But that's still pretty big, especially in 1812 when, as far as building for earthquakes was concerned, they weren't concerned. No research into those buildings as far as earthquakes go. Wow. Yeah. It's also funny. I know we're off onto tangents here today, guys. Sorry, but I've been seeing something's been popping up, on YouTube, and it's been popping up, saying that there's a volcano off the coast of Oregon that is expected to erupt this year, and I was like, okay, I know this is probably clickbait, but I'm just gonna have to watch one of these because it kept on coming up, and I was like, what is this? And apparently there is an underground volcano that's way off the coast, and it has erupted several times, and they have like monitors out there, and when it gets to a certain point, it erupts within a certain time, and it's very reliable because they have all this instrumentation at it. So, but it has nothing to do with, the terrestrial side of things. So while it could erupt, it's an underwater eruption, and it does everything underwater, and it doesn't, cause any people issues. So that's what I got from that. Interesting, right? Okay, so Steve says it was the longest lasting, but not the largest. Okay. Alaska had 9.2. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Alaska had probably the most. I know whenever you look on the earthquake map, it's usually Alaska or California that has had a bunch of them. Yeah. So 5.8 in the 80s. Yeah, so those that don't know, earthquakes are on a logarithmic scale, which means that it's 10 times more each number. It's 10 times more. So like the difference between, well, a 1 and a 2, a 1 you're probably not gonna feel. A 2 you can feel, like if you're laying down sleeping or laying down in bed, you can kind of feel it. A 3 you can feel, a 4 you can feel, a 5 is where things start to get like, a four-ish can be shaking, but in the 5s, that's when you're like, okay, something big's happening. And anything after that is much bigger. But there is a progression. I think I've only been in a 5 point something. I don't think I've been in a 6 point something. I may have been, I don't know. But I know I've been in a 5 point something. But it's not like 1 degree more each time. It's times 10. So yeah. Erica says biggest as in most area affected, not necessarily the Richter scale. Okay. New Madrid quakes have been felt as far away as Virginia. Wow. Your friend felt the quake in the 80s and from Virginia, from Indiana to Virginia. Wow. That is significant. Yeah. Oh, I should probably talk about the fires. The Los Angeles area fires, there's a bunch of them going on. I do know in the early days of evacuation, Eric, our jokester, did mark himself as safe. So hopefully we are not worried about him. I don't know if the fire was in his area or not, but he's okay. So that is good. And I don't know if there's any other viewers in that area. I know some people who have relatives that were evacuated. But fire is an issue, and something, I don't know where all the wind, how do I say this? So California gets the Santa Ana winds. It's an annual event. It's a predictable event. We know it's coming. Meteorologists have figured out how to read this, that we know it's coming. It seems like this year is expanded. It seems like it's usually a couple days, and then now it's like a bunch of different days, and it seems to be in waves, which is interesting. And then I know Alaska has, if my mom's on here still, she can give us the name of the winds. She says that they would put masking tape X on the windows to keep them from blowing out. I don't remember what those are called, but there are winds that go through Alaska that are extremely strong. And I don't know, besides tornadoes, I don't know if there's any other winds that have names that are expected in a certain season in any of the rest of the United States. If you guys, let us know if you do know that. But these are winds that have, predictabilities as far as when it would happen. They are rather strong. And I remember several years ago now when the fire went through Santa Rosa, and I was actually in Taft, south of Bakersfield, at the time. And I was doing some research. I was setting out cameras at a site. Katabatic winds? Steve is Googling. Is that the Alaska ones? It doesn't sound familiar, but I'm sure it's right. If you looked it up. But I remember I was putting, so for these camera stations, we were, for biology, looking for animals, specific animals, and so we would have the camera trap, which is wildlife camera, on a stake, and then we would have I think it was a meter square that we would dust with dolomite, which is white field marking, the stuff you put in the machine that doesn't have glass in it, and it marks the field. So we would dust a thin layer of that on there, and that would, when you do that, it picks up tracks, and you can see the tracks a whole lot better than just on the ground because it's white, and the shadows that it creates with that, it works. If you just want to know what's around your house, not really advised, but you can use flour. You might have things that come and eat it, but it does work. But I was trying to do that, and it's super fine stuff. And so I had to shake it. You usually take it with a cup and shake it out. I had to shake it like this close to the ground. It took me forever to set up these cameras. Usually you take it and you go, and you're done. But I had to like do this because it was just blowing away. Other than that, and that was the day that the Santa Rosa fire started. So yeah, when they tell you to leave. There you go. And it's a good idea to have those emergency things in order. I know where I used to live, we had a meeting place. Manuel and I had a meeting place that if something was to happen, then we would know to meet there. And really the biggest concern in that area was that the local dam would fail, because it actually, the governor demanded that it be emptied down to a dead pool, not the movie, the actual pool. And that is because it was seismically unfit. And if it were to bust when it's full, it would take out a large area. So work is being done on that dam. Things are kind of starting on it. It takes a long time to get that process going, but that dam was, I'm going to say probably 20 miles away, maybe a little less than that, but probably 20 miles away. And I was uphill from that, uphill then downhill. There's a watershed in there. And so that, and then basically my house was 3 blocks out of the inundation zone. So out of the danger zone, it would have taken out much of San Jose, pretty much all of Coyote, all of Morgan Hill, and Gilroy downtown would be gone. And then, I was, I think, 5 or 6 blocks away from downtown, and it would be 3 blocks out of the inundation zone. And so that was something that is unlikely to happen, but had a plan, know where to go, know where the inundation zone would be, and know where to go to get out of it, and then know where to go to meet up with people after that. So that's just one example of kind of having that. I don't really have a shared plan here yet. I know how to get out, but there's I need to come up with a better plan than what I have now. So hopefully you guys have good plans. If you, well, even if it's like Santa Rosa fires, like the LA fires, even if you're in urban areas, you got to have a plan. Yeah. All right. Yes, in Alaska. Erica says, when we lived in Montana, we had what we called Chinooks. Yes, I think it was Chinook. Is Chinook also in Alaska? That sounds very familiar. Steve says the katabatic air moves downhill and anabatic air moves uphill, winds of Alaska. Okay. So is that a type of wind and not a name of the wind, maybe? Are Chinooks in Alaska? That is a question. Last time I looked up something, Steve yelled at me, so I'll wait until he answered. But Chinook sounds familiar. Apparently, my mom's no longer on here. Yeah. So, anyway, just kind of the extra things that you don't really think about as far as natural disasters or things you might have to contend with is some of these large wind events that are somewhat predictable, as far as like, hey, this happens here, like the Santa Ana winds, they usually only affected, like when I was in California, they usually really only affected Southern California for some reason. But there were a couple of years that we got some of it. I remember I went to a job site one time right after a weekend that the winds were just ridiculous. And they have this like plastic fabric fencing. It's called silt fencing. Um, that uh, is staked in the ground and all of that. And that was torn to shreds. The whole thing had to be redone. It was to keep special status species out of the area, but it was just torn to shreds. And I was like, "Whoa, that must have been super windy up here." Yeah. All right, Steve. You like that I let you do your job? Steve says Chinook winds are phone winds in the interior west of North America, where the Canadian prairies and Great Plains meet various mountain ranges, although the original usage is in reference to wet, warm coastal winds in the Pacific Northwest. Interesting. Okay. So not necessarily Alaska. Okay. Maybe I had heard of Chinook winds before. I don't know. I don't know. Thank you. um, so that's another thing to plan for infrastructure stuff. Um, I know some, like, you want to make sure that there's not that the edges you use on your stuff doesn't flip. I know, who was it that was it Amy? I think it was Amy that had her hutches flip in the wind, her rabbit hutches, and that's really scary. So that's something that when I put on this long roof, uh, I will pay attention to, and I'll probably put like an edger on it, but maybe not, because I'll probably actually put a, um, a gutter on it. I saved some of my old gutters so I can use them. Um, I'll probably put an old gutter on it that will then direct it into a container. But yeah, you have to take these things into account. Um, I've also heard round buildings, round structures are good for wind. That's what they use for like hurricane uh, structures built to withstand hurricanes are now round, which makes sense because the wind goes and it just separates around it, right? I mean, if you knew what direction it would come from, probably triangle would be best, right? Just split it, but you'd have to know exactly what direction it would come from, and things are changing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll have to ask my mom more about the winds in Alaska, because I remember her telling me that they would duct tape big X's on the windows when that wind would come through, because it was enough to blow out a window, which is absolutely ridiculous to think of, right? And I don't know if that still happens, if window technology has improved things, or if it is not, if it's still the same. Yeah. Steve says it build it on as a triangle in a large lazy Susan and go spinning. um yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. Steve. Lazy Susan house. Is that how you would advertise it? Yeah, Lazy Susan House. Lazy Susan Luxury. Gotta come up with some different names here. Oh boy. Yeah. So anyway, we got off onto different subjects here. So hopefully it was helpful, useful, fun, entertaining, whatever you come here for. But I did want to talk about infrastructure, and I guess, big winds and fire and all that count as infrastructure talk. I my siding on this house is not, the greatest. It's old and there's some parts that need repair. And I was actually looking at like metal siding or cement siding because I know that's better for fire. And I haven't looked at prices at all. And I'm just exploring options. I'm not jumping on it right now, but it would probably be a good idea. I know I have a metal roof now, so that is good. There's a little hill behind the house, so really not much threat from that side of things, which is where the trees are. But there's always, there's an opening. Mother Nature will take it. Yeah. Steve says the X tape on the window is to help prevent shattering, trying to keep the broken window in place, which is no longer recommended as it doesn't really work. Plywood is better. Well, of course plywood is better, but you can't do that in an apartment up, up that high, not from the outside anyway. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody did it. So it either did work or it worked once and was okay, or it might have been just something that someone said, hey, this might work, and then they did it and it didn't get blown out. So there you go. The plywood on the inside, yeah, you could do that. You'd have to have like permanent hooks or something. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Andy Rabbit, she's here. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, tape is better than nothing. Yeah. Well, I hope you're doing well, Andy Rabbit. I want to play this thing again, which I did it away. What's going on here? There we go. So the rest of us guessed how many babies Ravioli's going to have, and I want Andy's input because she does a lot of rabbit things. And let's see. Make that big. And apparently I already had it open. All right, get back to you guys. So I'm going to share this again. Anybody who's on now, you just said 8. You haven't even seen the video unless you watched the video today, which is valid. But I'm still going to play it again because I already have it up. Okay, so again, this is Ravioli Bunny Rabbit. And uh-oh, hang on, cancel. And now I can do it. Okay, present, share screen. Mm-hmm.
I want to see how many kids you guys think she's going to have. Remember, Rigatoni had 9. They're all eating right now. But she's pretty big, and she's loving the loves. You always love loves, though, huh? Look at this. All right, guys. I recognize this.
All right. So that is it. And okay, Andy Rabbit says 8. Tape would not stop a brick. That is true. That is true, Verna. Andy, the guesses already were 7, 8, 10, and 11. She could guess the same thing. That's fine. And Erica says, great minds think alike. If I'm wrong, It will be 12. What color is black? Yeah, so Percy has only had black offspring. I'm not an expert in rabbit genetics, but so far all his babies have been black. All of the does are a cross between the dad was Parmesan, my old buck. He was a Californian, so that's what the moms look like that you see right there. They look like dad, and then mom was a black New Zealand, which actually looks like he is the same as what Percy is. So their genetics, they have Californian and black New Zealand in them. And so far, all their babies have been black. So, which is interesting because I've had that mixture before, but when the buck that was bred to them was Californian, they had some that were Californian lookalikes and some that were the black New Zealand lookalikes. So it's just interesting. So I expect they're all going to be black. I haven't had any babies that were not black yet. So far they're all black. Yeah. Andy Rabbit says, then I'll say 9. It's not picked yet. Andy's like, I'll take all the numbers. Yeah. All right. Miss Andy Rabbit, I have a question for you. Ravioli is a very particular rabbit that likes to take out her tantrums on her old water cup, which she likes to tilt. Have you used water nipples for rabbits, and do you have a recommendation? And what height do you put them at? There you go. There you go. Because I've used the cups. I have not used the water nipples, though. Your Californians are black. No, the Californians are white with the dark on the nose and the ears and the paws and the tail. The ones I have are hybrids between a Californian and a black New Zealand. So they have both of those. All of the females have the same parents. Yeah. Okay, you use water nipples unless it's freezing weather. And do you do one per hutch? Like one baby gets to drink at a time and all that? And then how high off the bottom? Thank you for clarifying, Steve. Yeah, creep? No. Yeah, because that's what I don't know. So if they're freezing, so if it's freezing, what, you just empty out the container and use a bowl? I mean, that's what I have in there right now is rubber bowls, but you'd have to empty it out so it doesn't freeze that connection, right? Yeah, I really like the drink cups for the rabbits because I feel like it's a more natural way for them to drink. Ravioli just throws fits sometimes because she's a jealous rabbit, and so I don't want to have a drippy thing out there, especially since I won't be, I don't want her to run a barrel dry. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Andy took offense to your comment, Steve. Bear with this statement. White is not a color in rabbits, so being that your rabbits are black, kind of like quail spotted white, it's a cover-up color. Okay. Okay. I was saying what they appear to be is Californian looks white with the dark markings, and all of their babies' fur is black. Okay, so white is a lack of color. Got it. Got it. I will probably continue to say that they're white. Maybe I will try to adjust my language that they look white. That would be more appropriate, right? Yeah. Verna says tan some of those hides would make a nice black coat. Yeah, so they and Percy's fur is so soft. He's the softest of all of them, and his babies have really soft fur too. Like they're much softer than Parmesan's babies were, and it's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so black is the main color, and they have a lack of color there. Okay. 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 Well, good with the color. How high up do you put the water nipples off the floor of the cage or the floor of the cage the hutch? Because that is I need to order some because I have the cups. I don't have those. But you just have if I have just one rabbit, just use one. Right, but these are going to be moms, so they have lots. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Um, yeah, 2 to 3 inches. Okay. I had the cups about that high. The babies sometimes go underneath them and like spill. But I think with the other ones, I'm going to thank you, by the way. I'm going to start off with I don't know if I brick, but something solid underneath that. Not wood because they'll just eat it, but something solid underneath the cups enough that they're not going to shove themselves underneath. I haven't figured out what exactly, but yeah, yeah. Okay, if they have water 24/7, only one is needed. Okay. Because I know the babies like to drink a lot. I had I had two. Did I have that in both of them? I don't remember. I think in the other ones I had just one drinker cup, and then in raviolis I had two. I don't remember if I had two. I might have also had two with rigatonis, but yeah, they go through the water. Um, if they have a 4 foot or longer, I put more in. Okay. Yeah, so this is 3 by 4. So okay. I might just do a couple and go from there. Um, I do think the rest of them I'll probably put cups in. I don't know. I don't know. I might be switching them out. I'll probably get enough nipple waters for for that. Um, I just don't want to have to rely on those little bottles that have the ball because those always drip and you have to refill them so much. I want to be able to do an automatic water that has a tank of water and able to use pretty well. So yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for the advice. I was hoping you'd come on so I could ask that question as I was talking about infrastructure. And are you doing any infrastructure this year? We talked about that. Yeah. Okay. Andy says, I will look where I buy mine. I buy them in bulk of 100. Last you 2 years, but you have enough to replace if ever drips. Okay. Okay. So they don't last very long. Yeah. Yeah, Steve, I think they are pretty cheap, but I just don't know much about them because I haven't fully researched any of them, and I know that people use them. I know people usually use those, not the cups. And the cups work perfectly as long as your rabbit doesn't lean on it or on purpose tip it. Yeah. I use them as disposable. Yeah. Okay. So I'll have to look at that and I'll look at options for that. I mean, I'm not planning on doing the water stuff until, spring, maybe summer anyway, because it could freeze. So I want to figure that out. Yeah. Fremont, California. That is a place. Is it also a company? Fremont, huh? I could have stopped by there when I was down there. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Everybody else was completely fine with drinking water like a normal rabbit should. Yeah. The city from, so there's no, that's just where it comes from, but there's no company. That's fine. I can look it up. Fremont City. Okay. We can look that up. Thank you, thank you. All right. Wow, we hit 8 o'clock. Does anybody have any other questions? Anything else to say? We're going to probably sign off here and eat some dinner, some chili. I don't know. I might give you guys a chili video tomorrow because I haven't edited the other video. Do you guys want a chili video tomorrow, or do you want to see a bunch of heirloom squash from the Heirloom Expo that happened in September? I'm going to give you guys a choice of what you see tomorrow. I was going to do a different video, but I'll save that for Thursday because it's already 8 o'clock. Oh, awesome. Okay. Send me the link. I appreciate it. You're making chili with bear meat tonight. Oh my gosh, Joy. I made it with rabbit meat. I have not had bear. I've heard it's greasy. Is that true? Or it's how you cook it or how you process it? Yeah. Chili's good, though. Chili is always good. Erica says, I keep a crock under the water nipple so that if it starts dripping, it gets caught. That was something I was thinking about as well with like if I was to put in a water cup with her with ravioli, that I would want to catch it and somehow, but I haven't gotten that far. Yeah. Hasn't been greasy, and Erica says bear is good. Andy says I don't have a full water running 24/7. I have a 55-gallon tank, holding tank I fill. Yeah, so right now my plan is to start with that and then hook it up once that's a possibility. Yeah. Yeah. And Meredith says I made chili without tomato paste yesterday, just used diced tomatoes. As long as there's tomatoes in it, because I've made it without the tomato sauce and it is not as good. I forgot it one time when I made a big batch and I was like, why did I forget this? Andy says if you have a float system, that's what I plan. And a leak happens, you have a lot of water on the ground. Yeah, so that's what I had going on in Gilroy in California. Is it was hooked up to a faucet that was on, and they flooded part of the quail area because ravioli was such a butthead about it. So that's what I'm trying to preemptively avoid. I know, at least this time, there's a little bit more room. I can do some different things. So, yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Have a yellow square cat litter bucket as their gravity water bucket. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm planning on setting up a system very similar to what I had in California. And the only difference is right now it won't have that float valve because the input is going to have to come from me. It's not going to come from a permanently set up thing. That will happen later, but that's easy enough to add in later. So yeah, it's an easy system I think to put together. Yeah. But Erica says, I just fill bottles so I don't lose much water if they drip. Bottles I've had run dry, and I haven't ever used one that actually didn't drip. And so I'm not wanting to spend that much time filling up water bottles, especially if there's babies in there, because they go through a lot of water. They go through a lot of water. Yeah. Verna's saying, blessings, everyone. I have to take Lucy out for a final walk. Have a wonderful evening. Say hello to Lucy, and thank you for coming. All right, guys. Since people talked about chili, we're going to do chili for tomorrow's video. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. And oh, we have more. Andy says, I have a water auto switch that pumps enough water every 3 hours. It takes 12 minutes to fill the bucket, turns off. So if I get a leak, I only get 55 gallons on the ground. That is actually really smart. That is really smart. Yeah. And you can do that probably with just like an orbit timer. Yeah. Okay. I'll think about that in my design. That gives me a lot to think about. Thank you. Yeah. 10 p.m. Central. It is. It is. All right, guys. Well, thank you for this conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm going to say goodnight. We have a chili video coming out tomorrow. And I'm going to have to check and make sure it is all the way edited because I think it is. I think I already exported it, but I got to check that. Yeah. Okay, pump from there to there. Yeah, so you have your checks in place, it sounds like, Andy. That sounds like a good plan. We're going to have to talk more on that later. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, I am going to say goodnight and maybe even eat some chili for dinner. All right, guys. Thank you. Good night. Good night, Erica.